Right, let's start adding some transitions, effect, and everything to our slider so we can better control it and it looks a little bit more pretty than it does right now. Back to our WebStorm, and right now we need to use our sub.ts file here. So this is the one we're going to be working with for now. Right now yours might look like this, so up in the top it might just say import and 3 dots. That's because yours is collapsed, and if you do this it will expand so it looks like mine up here. Right now we have component, Ionic page, nav controller, nav params. We need to add 2 more, and we need to do some coding down here as well. First things we're going to do is just inside our export class here, our name. This is different from if yours is on the list page, it's going to say list page or home page or whatever. We're going to be using the view, double cap, huge cap here, and we're going to be using this like we did in the previous video with the navigation. So we're going to be using this so we can start calling methods and everything. If we do this correctly, it's going to have view up here, view child. If you don't have it up here, type it in or click it and hit Option Enter on a Mac, or Alt Enter on a PC, I think it is Windows. But otherwise you can just type it in. We need to have these parentheses in here, and in here we're going to do slides. So we're going to use the slides effect, the slides directory here. Same procedure, hover it or click it and click enter, so it's being added up here from the Ionic Angular. And so added view child, added slides up here. Important, it's the same. Here we want to attach a variable to our slide so we can actually use it a little bit later, so we can put in the methods for this slide here we're doing. So we're going to use this later, and this is kind of the type we're going to be using in our system. Let's go down here to my Ion view did load. So basically this means that if the page loaded, it did, then do this. So we can use this function down here. So last time we did a function with a click page. So function open page, I think it was called, and then we sent the page to the page we clicked. We're going to be using this one right now because it works for the purpose we're using it for. So if the page loaded, do things down here. Let's do this and slide. So right now we're using the combination up here. We can start adding different things. The first thing we want to do is add an autoplay for this. Because, whoops, not pause autoplay. Why did you do that, computer? Let's go back, autoplay like this. And the reason why it looks red is because I forgot a dot there. And we're going to assign a value to this. The first one we're going to assign is like, let's go 3000. 3000 is in a time frame and it's in milliseconds. So 3000 milliseconds equals 3 seconds. Sort of similar to some of the CSS we've been doing. But that's kind of adding a automatically 1, 2, 3 switch. Sweet. So it switched. That's kind of the first method we want to add to this. Next we want to add to it could be, let's go loop. So once it's through all 3 of these, it's going to assign a loop for this. So let's do a loop that is going to be true. So once it's through, does it loop again? Yes, it most certainly will. I'm not going to show you, that's going to take 10 seconds of the movie just by looking, but it's going to work having this in, so it starts over automatically. If you don't want it to start over, you're just going to hit do nothing or type in false, of course. True, false here. Right now it's looping kind of fast, like this, bam! And we can also change the speed of this by using this slide and using the method of speed. And we do the same here. So we set this to 2000. It takes 2000 milliseconds to go from one page to the other. So let's click this, save, and let's have it refreshed. So now you can see the sliding process is way slower than before, maybe a little bit almost too slow, but now we can actually see what happens. This is just some of the things you can do with this. And if you go to the Ionic documents here, into the docs API components and go to the slides here, and we scroll down a little bit, we can see there are things here. So input property autoplay, we use that one. We use loop, yes, we use that one as well. We use speed, but we can also use pagination type. So let's start with effects. That can be cool. So let's start with effects. And how we put this in, we use this slides as just the others. And the thing we just do now is type in the effect. because that's what they're stating on the page, so we're going to use this. And they also say we can use slide, which is basic, cube, cover flow, flip. I have no idea what that is. So let's try using cover flip. Now we can't do this. Now it goes red. Because we're using a name of something, we need to use these so it's inside a quotation mark, because it's no longer something that like a number or either a true or false. So we need to do it like this inside this. So let's do this, see what actually happens to the page. I have no idea what this does. Ooh, that looks crazy. That's one of them, that's a little bit fancy. Let's do the other cube. Oh god, I'm gonna just try everything. Cube. Let's go back to this. Cube. Oh, that's small. Woo! Look at that, fancy stuff. Image. So you can see there's many different things. I'm just gonna keep it at fade. I don't know if that's one. That's one way of going with this. And the other one I can just show you is pagination type. As of right now, default, we have bullets. Now right now it fades between the images. I don't know if that works better than the other, doesn't really matter. But right now we have bullets. We can also change those to something else. So in our case, let's try that. Slider, this dot slider, this dot pagination type. And again, you can only use this pagination type if you have a bullet setup or a pager. So right now we did it up here. We set the pager here so we actually have the clickable buttons. And if you don't have those, this will make no sense because it's a pagination type, it's changing. So kind of like the UL, we can change them from a circle to a square or numbers or whatever. Actually OL in the list items in HTML. But back to this. We're going to put in a new way of you showing the page. So right now we don't want the bullets, we can use fractions, see what that does. So let's put in fraction, I actually don't know. So instead of having the standard bullets, right now it's 1 of 3 and 2 of 3, so that's kind of weak. Let's do progress, that sounds like some really crazy stuff. So adding progress instead of fraction, what does that do? Ooh, so we have a bar up here that goes blue, blue, and then probably blue when it's completed. We can also probably change the color up here using CSS for this. But as you can see, we can create these slider menus fairly easy. Fairly, I say. We needed to do, the less easy part is doing the method thing, but the other part is just styling it, setting it up correctly, and then you can start making it work. You might have an issue. I did the first time I did this with it's not being actually correcting the width of this page for some reason. I don't know why I didn't, but for mine I could actually drag my page to the side because of this, but once I restarted my browser everything worked and now it's back to this. But that's kind of how we can create and start styling our own slider, and we can basically just copy this to the front page or some other page. We just need to remember to, of course, copy the code that we need for the methods. But that's a long video about methods and Ionic Slides.